One. All right, everyone. How are you doing? It is Friday again in Bremerton. And as you can see on the screen, you know what time it is. If it's 4 o'clock on a Friday in Bremerton, then you know we've got a great podcast for you. But first, let me go ahead and give an announcement. It is currently 88 degrees in Bremerton. And so there is a heat advisory in place for the next 3 days. So please govern yourselves accordingly. Make sure that you take advantage of any cooling shelters. Make sure that you keep yourself and your pets hydrated. Please check on your friends, your loved ones, and strangers as your bandwidth allows you to do so. On Sunday from 1 to 4, we will be at Evergreen Park with a paella cookout. And so it's going to be a lot of fun down there, and that's open to all of our friends and family. So come on down there if you have some time. But again, please stay hydrated. And that goes again for Saturday because Doc Loves the Kids has an event as well. Always giving away really good things that folks need. But again, make sure that you stay hydrated. Maybe bring an umbrella to keep that sun off of you. People don't think about always bringing an umbrella when it's not raining, but that's a good way to keep that sun off of you. And just make sure that you take care of yourself and take care of each other. All right, so now that that is out the way, let us say hello to Kathie. Kathie, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing okay.
You hanging in there?
I'm hanging in there.
All right. Well, it is good to see you always, as usual. And we've got a good show for everyone today. If you tuned in last week, and if you did not tune in, this is your first time, please go back and watch last week's episode. That's August 15th. This is really kind of a part 2 to that. We got into a really good discussion, and we got into water, and we needed to stop because we had so much to talk about. I mean, we were overflowing, if you will, but don't boom, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be here all day with the dad jokes. Kathie, you're supposed to laugh a little bit more robust at my dad jokes.
I told you my brain's not all here today. I'm
all
dense
right, well,
today.
I'll give you $5 for my next joke before time.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and do what we always do. And we always like to start off with showing the website, saveenetai.org. Please keep yourself up to date, which you can register right here in the bottom left corner. That's a little pop-up that comes up. And again, Kathie and her team painstakingly keeps this up to date with all the latest and greatest information. You can see here, August to October of 2025, what's going on. So all this is here for you to follow along. She has documents. She has a place for you to sign petitions to get Enetai out of the UGA, and then also a donate now button. Okay, so all of this information is here for you. Again, home, about, get involved is always a great one. And then the newsletter.
And when you register, that's registering for the newsletter, which
Okay.
I try to put out monthly.
Really?
Yeah, I try to. Sometimes it's bi-monthly, but and this is where I really kind of, if you'd like to deep dive and really want to know a lot, that if you just poke around on our web pages. So this is to actually to register to get on our mailing list. So like if something hot happens, I can go to MailChimp and to our database, and I can send out an email to everybody immediately.
Nice.
So yeah, and so the register thing is where it got to be, we got too many people to where I couldn't track all the emails. So it does it all for us.
That sounds like a good problem to have, right? You had too many people.
Too many, yeah. And
I love it.
And Gmail was kicking stuff back. If you start having too many, like in your CCs on your emails, they just don't like it. So there you can see right there where it says primer on water document, 815, right up, put your cursor up.
Right there?
No, up higher.
Oh, no. You got a 10-second delay down there.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So that if people weren't here last week, that's a document that I put together kind of in more detail about what we're talking about. And there's links there if you want to go click on those links and just follow along. I try to be thorough and
You know, you don't try to be thorough. You are thorough.
Okay.
Well,
I'm detail oriented.
you are extremely detail oriented. I'm envious of your level of detail. Let's say hi to folks that are tuning in early. Patrick says blessings to join another insightful conversation. Patrick, thank you again for joining us. Patrick also says LOL. Kendra, good evening, Marwan fam, and God bless you. Thank you, Kendra, and happy belated birthday to you. And Patrick says, I understood the joke too. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Kendra says, interesting. So again, welcome to everyone that's tuning in. And it's good to see that people are paying attention. At least can get my corny jokes, right? As you know, I'm a board member for the library, and this is the library shirt for this year's summer reading program. Let me turn this off so people can see it. So if you really like dad jokes, then, you know, reading is shrimply awesome, right? So that is the summer shirt for the Kitsap Regional Library this summer. So I love these. So even last week, you saw me wearing the 80th anniversary library shirt. And so, you know, all things library. So big ups to the library, especially for passing their levy. So that's awesome. All right, so let's jump back in. So again, this week we are just going a little bit deeper with water. One of the things that we shared was the Kitsap Sun article talking about, and this article was updated July 28th of this year, right? Summer boosted water use, straining systems, and raising concerns amid ongoing growth. And what was big about that, Kathie, that you were sharing that was alarming to me was that we have this big growth that is supposed to happen here in Kitsap County with all these people coming here over the next 10 years or so. And we're already talking about that we're having a strain on our water system.
Right. And I think the big thing is people don't realize that we don't get our water from snow melt. The whole Kitsap Peninsula is surrounded by salt water, and all of ours comes from precipitation and rainwater that comes down, filtrates into the ground and groundwater, and then fills our aquifers. So you start sucking all the water out, and then your precipitation goes down. It starts throwing off the equilibrium of, at some point, you know, if this climate thing gets worse, you know, we're going to be in a world of hurt. And I think that there is some water companies, not all, that are looking at being able to reuse sewer water, like treat it and be able to put it in retention ponds and be able to recycle rather than dump all of our stormwater and sewage out into the Puget Sound. So I think that's the big thing is just understanding, you know, that we don't have an endless water supply on this peninsula. We don't have mountains with snow that we get our water from. And even those states that do have them, they're having problems too. So I know in Colorado, and I think we touched on last week that there's like a water drought declaration and advisory on about 20 different counties.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull that up. Was that the article or?
It was a website.
Oh, here it is.
Number
right here,
4.
The Washington Drought Declaration and Advisory. Yes.
So I had no idea this was going on until I started like just doing a little bit of research on water. And it's like, oh, I guess Department of Ecology is watching this. And other counties are having problems, especially in central Washington, just like central Oregon too. It's very dry, but they do grow stuff there, so they need a lot of water. So that is, you know, it's kind of concerning to me. And then, of course, we've got water in Kitsap County, understanding how we get our water and how all these developments, let's say from Sylvan Way all the way up to Central Valley, we have right now that are permitted or almost permitted at 2,500 units. And I know in the case of North Perry Water, who kind of services all of East Bremerton generally up to, actually, I didn't know this either, up to Keyport.
Yeah.
They don't handle Keyport, I don't think, but they go pretty much up to that point. So they have a large swath of boundaries to serve all those water people, to all their water. So we're kind of concerned about this, that they're that particular water agency is not forthcoming with information about water and their wells. If you go to your website, they don't have any data up there.
Mm.
And
Okay.
so everything that you have to get, you have to put in a public records request. And in my and that form is not even on their website. So I don't even know how they can legally get away with that, because most agencies have to have a public records request form. I mean, at least I know this because I ask for a lot of documents. So we're kind of concerned about a lot of the wells that when our water levels start to go down and they start pumping more water, it impacts our streams. And maybe a lot of people don't know about this, but there's a lot of streams that used to have fish in them that don't have fish in them anymore. And
so they can't sustain that particular life.
No, and I know that in Enetai and Manette area and that whole eastern side of that, our peninsula there that faces Bainbridge,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I have walked Enetai Creek with a stormwater engineer, and he has all the discharge, all the rain that hits our streets all along like Trenton and up on the top of Manette, it all drains down into the Enetai Creek. It's all unfiltered. And there's a big concern. A lot of people probably haven't heard about this yet. I may not have all the acronyms right. 6PDPQ or 6PPQ. It's a chemical that's in tires that they know now that is killing fish.
Wow.
So there used to be fish in Enetai Creek.
Wait a minute, but don't we use tires to kind of create artificial reefs? And
yeah, there's
oh man,
yeah, this is I don't know how new it is, but the Department of Ecology, you know, where we were looking at their website where the drought is, they have information up there, new information. The tribes are starting to take a look at this too.
Good.
But this stormwater engineer, we looked, everything is unfiltered, and he said this would not happen in King County. So our county is way behind on what's going on with discharge, all of our stormwater, and then it's being discharged out in the Puget Sound. So that's kind of scary too, you know, if you think about the orcas. When I saw the orcas out in front of the shipyard, I thought, oh my God, how can they even live in these waters?
Right.
It's a little bit scary. I mean, I'm not like a super big environmentalist, but I care about animals and the cleanliness of the water.
And we kind of need water to live, right? At the minimum.
Yeah, and healthy water. I mean,
yes.
It needs to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and that's expensive. So
well, and just in the article that you shared here, and I left this on the screen for people to see, but in this article it says Poulsbo has provided water by 2 wells, Lincoln 1 and Lincoln 2, and they both operate during peak periods. Lincoln 1 is capable of supplying 325 gallons per minute, and Lincoln 2 can provide 650 gallons per minute, which is about 1,000 gallons per minute for both of them due to the increased temperatures over the last week. And this was, again, back a few last month, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably happening right now as it is 88 degrees. They're operating for more than 20 hours a day. So what is the impact of these wells operating at this high capacity for long periods of time?
Well, yes, and I just learned something new from a water specialist this past week, is that like in the case of one water purveyor, we know that, what do they have the capacity to meet all this extra developments that's coming in? So over in East Bremerton, you can see all these new water mains getting put in. Well, apparently that's to be able to move the water around from the places where they pump the most to be able to serve the other areas. And they also have these big water tanks, and you don't see them very often. They're kind of tucked away, like there's one off of, I think, Olympus.
Right.
Up there.
At the top of Sylvan.
Yeah, and then there's one off of Rydell, too, up back in there. And so the question is there enough storage capacity, too?
Gotcha.
Because if there's a situation where there's drought-like conditions, those tanks only hold so much water to cover so many hours of service. So I think, those are the things that all the water purveyors are going to be looking at in the long term. So,
well, Kathie, you bring up another good point as well. Looking at this graph again, right? Like right now, we're not part of if you're in the dark orange, that's a drought emergency declaration. And if you're in the yellow, you're a drought advisory. If we tend to move in that direction, which we're not now, we might look to our neighbors to the east and say, hey, Seattle, hey, Tacoma, can you help us out? And they're like, hey, we got our own problems. We've been dealing with the drought from years ago. So we can't help you. So what do we do? What do they do now that they have a drought? And, King, Pierce, these are two of our biggest counties in the entire state. So what do they do to resolve their water issues?
Well, yeah, that's because we're on the other side of the water. I guess we can't provide. We're at risk with us just being a peninsula the way we are. We're like a very unique compared to all the other counties. So what will happen when we get in trouble? I think they have access to all the snow melt, and there's a lot more water, I think, over there that they have access to, where we're limited on this peninsula. And the city of Bremerton has, up at Casad Dam, they have quite a bit of water up there.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they can't serve everybody. I mean, that's again, how many years does this water last? I don't really. I try to get that answer and I can't find it.
That's what I wanted to ask you. You said that our rainfall is what recharges the aquifer, right?
Yeah.
So how is there a way for us to measure where our aquifers are? Like it's 70% recharged, or is there a way for us to know that?
Well, I've been kind of asking that question about, can we do a study? And I think a lot of what I'm seeing in the sciences, at least with water and streams and stuff, is so much is all like modeling. So it's like they take like bits of data and they crunch it into a software program and they like model. Nothing is like specifically measured anymore, it seems like. There might be some. I know they are monitoring some streams in Kitsap County, but not all. There's maybe 12 to 15 of the big major ones that they're testing the water. They're measuring the amount of bugs, which will tell them the health of the stream. But no, I still don't have a full grasp on an aquifer and how they measure it.
Gotcha. And I'm just using ChatGPT, so take it with a grain of salt. But what it says is, so I asked, is there a way to measure if and how much an aquifer recharges? And it says, yes, hydrologist or hydrogeologist. Hydrogeologist?
Yes.
Okay. Use several field and desk methods to estimate whether an aquifer is recharging and how much. Quick ways to tell if it's charging is to track the water table in the wells. If the water level in observation wells rises after rain or snow melt, that signals recharge. The size and timing of the rise will help you to estimate how much. And then 2, look at the base flow in the streams. Many streams are fed by groundwater in dry weather. If the dry season flow is steady or increasing over years, that hints at a sustained recharge. Falling dry season flow can indicate reduced charge. So and then they go a little bit deeper in that. So
And this might be a good time to bring up those graphs.
yeah, sure.
That one that actually shows the aquifer. There you go. What the one right there.
I'm going to go ahead and put that on so everyone can see it. Boom.
So that kind of gives you at least a cross section of kind of how it works. I thought because I need to picture myself, like give me a cross section of how it works. So there's all these different levels of water, and it gets tapped, in all different ways. And I think I might have mentioned, like for instance, up in Royal Valley, Perry Water is going to be providing them all that water for that big new development of over 800 places.
Okay.
And the people that live around that, the farms, they're all on wells. And they have senior water rights too, by the way.
So
they get water first. But they're concerned about if Perry Water pumps too much water, that their wells are going to go down. And nobody can really give a future prediction of what's going to happen, other than, well, just wait and see.
Which we really can't afford to do so.
That's what I'm kind of seeing, is a lot of this, oh, well, we can model stuff and we can estimate stuff, but unless you actually pay somebody to actually do a true water study, to look at like the depths and look at all this information and gather it all up, it's not being done. And that's one thing we've been pushing to, like, the county, is you need to be like, how can you keep giving all these permits out to do all these buildings and not look at the water? And for instance, a lot of these new developments are getting from Perry Water what they call a non-binding water connection agreement.
Okay.
And that means it's not binding. That means when they finish their development, if there's not any water, they don't get it.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
That's, in essence, that's what it comes down to.
Be careful where you move, huh?
Yeah. So anyways, that's kind of that's a whole nother thing. But the next slide after this is, it kind of gives you an idea about what a watershed is. And the Department of Ecology is there. They have, they are looking at all the watersheds all over the state. And that's when they start to get in trouble. That's when they start getting concerned. And I think that's why these advisories are going out. But this is just a good example of a watershed is kind of a basin. And all that water, it comes down and it flows downhill. And that's where it starts to percolate in, and it gives water to the groundwater, keeps going further into the aquifers, and then of course we get evaporation. When I think about my science classes when we had in elementary school, evaporation. But so this is a good picture of kind of how it works.
Well, and so let me ask, you pay attention to this more than I would say the average person does. We hear trigger words like global warming or environmental change, right? Does it seem to you that Bremerton and Kitsap County has been running warmer over the last several years, that we're experiencing less rainfall? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, to me, it's like lots of rain for me. Like in the winters, it's almost too much rain for me, but because it gets so gray and dark. But I got into the whole water thing because I've been watching Enetai Creek.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I've been monitoring it for probably 8 years. And so this year is the worst I've ever seen it. And how I monitor it, not all the places, but I go down at 30th Street all the time between Perry and Trenton. And there's a big dip, and I look over and I see how much water's in there. And right now it started to go dry since May. And I've never seen it quite like this bad. And some of these, what they call seasonal creeks in certain parts of the area when we don't have a lot of rain and it's dry, they go underground. Just because it looks dry up on top doesn't mean there's not water flowing underground.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's kind of fascinating for me. Being a map maker, I understand contours and like this basin thing and how all the water runs. And I think like the next slide will bring it to home.
Okay.
Uh,
Pull that down. That's on a different page there. Let me go ahead and pull that up.
Is it on the next page?
Let's see. Oh, no.
There we go.
It's just a little bit lower.
So this is locally, if you live in East Bremerton or Bremerton, you kind of know where Illahee is and where Enetai is. And so as you can kind of see the stream running through. It doesn't show, actually Illahee Creek, just north of Sylvan Way, it actually connects all the way down to Enetai Creek. They kind of meet at Sylvan Way, or a little bit north.
Can we give folks some landmarks maybe to help them to understand where this is? Like this is McWilliams here and Warren Avenue. Is that correct here? Do you see where my mouse is? Can you see that right there? Let me push
oh, I
this
see it.
Look over, look on this
Actually,
side.
it is, you've got Riddell Road. Yeah, McWilliams is to the north, and then that whole brown area, you come down to Riddell.
Okay.
And that brownish area is kind of where the Illahee Preserve is.
Gotcha. And Fred Meyer's, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Fred Meyer's is off to the left. Gotcha.
Kind of where I'm drawing my circle there.
Yes.
You can kind of see it up there now. Okay.
And then where...
Or McWilliams, that's Safeway. Fred Meyer's is down here on Riddell. Sorry, guys.
And then keep going down at Sylvan Way, which is the library and
G2.
Yeah, that's
We're
right.
right across the street from the library.
That's
now.
right.
Yeah.
So there you go, right down the street. And so this area where you can see the Enetai Creek and then Illahee, where there's a line, like Illahee is greener than the one on the south.
Yeah.
That's the watersheds.
And so if you go down to Enetai Creek and you see Sheridan Road here at the bottom, that's the last main road. And so you're on Sheridan. And, you know, when you get to the corner of Perry and Sheridan, for everyone, that is the village.
Yes.
Right. So that gives you your landmarks there so people can kind of see that. And go ahead, Kathie. I just want to give people that. The
corner, the one good hallmark is, well, if any of you know where Cooling Gardens is on the corner of Sylvan Way and Perry, it's right back up behind in there is where these two creeks meet, and that's where the line is between these two watersheds. They kind of like share what they call the same headwaters, or the creeks, which is kind of unusual, but I mean, I know that like between Trenton and Perry, if you think about the previous one, it's all a bowl. All that water from Trenton goes down into there, and then from Perry goes down into there.
Wow.
And if you go back in there, it's all wetlands.
It's all wetlands.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's actually a beaver pond back in there too.
So that would be the answer to what people ask: why are wetlands so important, and why do we need to protect them, and why can't we just build there? That seems like that's the answer, right? Is we don't want to destroy the water basin and where all of our water is flowing into.
It is. It collects all in there. Yeah, and that beaver pond, by the way, is currently the Illahee Preserve is in the middle of acquiring that, and they want to make a watershed park back in there, and you cannot believe what's back in there. I mean, it's pretty cool. And the beavers have started to build 3 more little ponds going south. So they're doing quite a lot of work back in there, those beavers are. And by the way, if you call the Illahee Preserve, they are doing tours back there.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that might be kind of fun
go on
to
a
do.
little walk. I thought they were doing it every night at 7, where you would meet in the parking lot at the Unitarian Church.
Every night at 7.
That's what I heard, but
Wow,
I don't
okay.
know. They may have, like, they don't have enough volunteers, so.
Well, maybe, you know, if you guys want to reach out and say, hey, guys, take your cameras down there and take the tour and give us a real-life view of these maps, then maybe we can arrange and do that. That's something that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. And they have an old historic house in there that you would never, it's like out of a postcard. Literally right off of Perry. You go in behind all those trees and it's like, oh my God, this is all here. I never knew it. So, so I think that kind of gives you, I showed you the watersheds. I think the next thing was to tell you a little bit about how I was able to get in touch with other people within the county is through the Kitsap Environmental Coalition.
Gotcha. Now, before you go into that,
Yeah.
what I want you to do is just take a look at this graph, and I'm going to just let people know that, again, I typed this into chat, and my question was, graph Bremerton and Kitsap County's rainfall over the last 20 years and project the next 10 years. And they pulled this information from...
Love Chat GPT.
Yes, but you do want to double check it, right? Because,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes it could give you some
They
kind
pull
of
their
funky
data
answers.
points from various sources. Yeah.
Well, and it just had an update, so I think it's running better than it has in the past because it's able to do real-time searching now. And so
that jives with it. This year is the worst I've seen.
Let me just
see
pull
that.
this up for people to see here. Boom, boom, screen share. There we go. All right, so like I said, I just typed this into ChatGPT so you can see it. Graph our Bremerton and Kitsap rainfall over the last 20 years and project the next 10. And this is the graph that they gave. I'm going to go ahead and enlarge this a little bit here so we can see that. It's not that helpful. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, it's a little better. Let me scoot over here. All right. Whoops. And here we go. We're still on the screen. Okay, perfect. And so you can see this, and it looks like the projection is decreasing between now and 2035, right?
Yeah, that's what you're talking about, the yellow or the orange. Yeah.
And so this is, I pulled annual totals from Bremerton from the NOAA, right? So these are our sources here. And again, you can double check those things on your own. There's a chart here that you can download. But these things are definitely of concern, especially to me, as now that this is becoming important and it wasn't before. We got a question in the chat from Patrick. Are those tours free? And what's the address for them?
The tours are free. And what you do is you meet at the Unitarian Church in the parking lot. And because you can't just go in there on your own.
Gotcha. And I'll pull that up for you guys to see where that is. Let me make sure I get it here. All right, here it is right here.
And you can probably go to, I believe if you just go to the Illahee Forest Preserve, there might be something up there.
Gotcha. Let me see. I am you guys can see my computer. I am the person with 1,000 windows.
And just so you know, if this little walk and tour around the beaver pond, it's not what I would call for people that are disabled.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, it's uneven ground and it's mushy. Wear your boots, because you are walking in wetlands.
So you need to be able to navigate.
Yeah. Don't wear your good shoes.
Gotcha. All right, then maybe we will try to get out there and get that footage for folks to see if they'll give us permission to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure that that Jim would.
And just so you guys can see, that tour is going to meet at the Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, and that's at 4418 Perry Avenue in Bremerton, 98310. And when you're taking the back way to Fred Meyer's and you zip up around the hill, it's right there on the right-hand side. So that's kind of your landmark there. All right. So again, that was just kind of the graph that I wanted to pull up and then kind of tie that in. And now let's go ahead and get back on task since I took us away from that.
Oh, that's okay. No, that was a good one though.
Oh, and then Patrick says, can you call the church for information?
No, it's the Illahee Preserve is the one that you call.
All right, I'll look up the Illahee Preserve while we're doing that.
It's Jim Aho. I don't know if it's okay if I give out a cell phone number or not.
Oh, I probably wouldn't do that.
I know he has a number that you call for this, and it's to him, but I don't know if it's his
Patrick, I'll look it up while Kathie is talking about another piece. That's the Kitsap Illahee Preserve, right?
No, the Illahee Forest Preserve.
Text that to me. All right, now let me go back and pull this other window up here. Yeah, I think some people might not be too happy about that. It's like, you gave my number out?
Yeah.
On a live podcast? Everybody's got it now.
Yeah, I don't want them to get mad at me. In fact, Jim Aho, he's the president of the Illahee Forest Preserve. And I started calling him, like, when this whole thing started happening in Enetai, people said, oh, you need to call Jim Aho. He was part of, they saved a lot of property. And that's how they have like over 650 acres in there. And a lot of people don't really use it or go in there and check it out. And so they were really successful in buying property and stopping a big development right behind the Unitarian Church.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so I started calling him and asking for advice and what should I do, because this is the same Team 4 engineers that was trying to do that big development called Timber's Edge. That's what it was called.
Timber's Edge. Okay.
Yes. And so he's really guided me. And in fact, he's the one that came up with the Save Enetai.
Really?
Yeah. He was the one that told me, you need to think of a name that's gets people's attention. It's like, oh, sounds good to me.
All right. Shout out to Jim. All right. Yeah, so I love it.
Yeah. And he's kind of behind too, or has been for over a period of time. If you all see down in Illahee, they're putting in a new dock.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge project. They're expanding the dock and they are expanding the parking there. So for people that like to go down and fish, and I'm not sure about like taking boats. Like, I don't know if you can, I don't think there's a boat launch there. I may be wrong, but it's a huge project.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's going on down there right now.
All right. Well, let's go on and talk about the Kitsap Environmental Coalition.
Yeah.
Which you shared something with me that I guess maybe you had told me before, but I wasn't aware that they were the fiscal sponsors, which is awesome.
They have really stepped up to the plate to help a lot of community groups like Royal Valley, Island Lake, Arborwood, because Island Lake, I don't know if you know this, but the county is pumping water into the lake to keep the water level up.
Okay.
And there was just a huge development approved there. They were fighting it off for like 350 homes next to Island Lake. And so all the people are concerned about them sucking more water out of the aquifer when you're pumping water into the lake to keep it up to lake level. So the Environmental Coalition has graciously hosted all these community groups so people can make donations and be tax deductible.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's through them that I met all these other groups, and we all meet like as a separate coalition, the community groups, where we help each other if there's property at risk. It's really been great, that camaraderie of the community. So Kitsap Environmental Coalition, I think we talked about FutureWise last week, who is filed a lawsuit or a case with the Growth Management Hearing Board with regards to our comprehensive planning, which is very complex. I still don't grasp it all, but this is how everything in our county, it's like the planning for our county. And people are not paying attention to it, and they should, because that's what lays down all the rules for all this development that's going on, and the zoning, which is critical. And so Kitsap Coalition has taken an active part in watching the comp plan also. I got on the tail end of a working group for the critical areas ordinances, but they had already been working on it for 2 years. So they get all their volunteers to work in groups and study all this stuff and give comments back to the county about whether the county listens to anybody. That's the whole nother thing, but we try. We try. So they are really stepping up to the plate in a big way for this county. And they only just started, I think, in 2018.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's impressive.
Yes. And so that leads us to the Eco Forum that I believe David, who is the president of the coalition, got together with Anna and Mockler and who's on city council. And they're doing this Eco Forum on September 8th at, I believe, the Public Works Building.
Yep, absolutely.
And so this is an example of Keck trying to reach out into the community, into the politicians, whoever, to talk about environmental things. And I believe they're gonna, a lot of the meetings, they have this thing called Keck Presents, where they either bring speakers in, they do it once a month, or they do movies and they have roundtable discussions. And they've mostly been up at the Kingston area at the community center up there, which is really nice. I wish we had a center like that down here. But we've been talking about doing some of these Keck Presents down in Bremerton or Silverdale. So I think that it's in the planning to bring in some people. Oh, somebody found his number. Hope it's not his cell phone.
Well, if it's on the internet.
If it's on the internet, then it's okay.
He wants folks to have it.
So I think that's kind of it for, I don't know how much time we have left.
Well, we have a couple minutes left. I just wanted to touch on, if you are able to make it, we had Councilwoman Anna Mockler on the Conduit last week. And one of the things that I know that council folk are trying to do is make themselves more accessible to the community. And you do not have to live in her district to attend this event. So if you do have some environmental questions, this is a great place to meet people in person and have your questions asked. And then hopefully, if they're not answered on the spot there, then they can go and refer it to the person who may be able to get you an answer. So that's really important. I don't want folks to think, well, she's not my councilwoman, so I shouldn't be there. No, it's open to everyone. And the question that you don't ask is probably the question that really needed to be asked. So some of the things that she has that are concerns that her constituents have shared with her are stronger protections for streams, wetlands, and forests. A la Kathie and Save Enetai, which is a big one, preserving drinking water, the watershed forest, moving from fossil fuel to renewable energy, reducing climate crisis impacts, energy efficiency, and conservation. So if there are other things that are concerning to you, especially as they're relatable to what we're talking about now, please do. So I could see folks from Save Enetai showing up and saying, hey, look, this is our concern, A, B, and C. I could see Friends of the Cove coming and saying, hey, look, we've got our issues and our concerns. We've got the Navy talking about putting in this big dry dock, which is going to cause a considerable amount of things happening over the course of 12 to 14 years, right? So what is going to be the preservation and the restoration of our land and our water to ensure that we're going to be vibrant for the decades to come as we transition into our seniors and our kids and our grandchildren grow up and become adults here in the county and the city. Anything you want to add there, Kathie?
Well, yeah, I do want to say that Anna Mockler is the only current city council person who voted against allowing for a sewer extension into Enetai.
The only one.
The only one. There was somebody else,
Wow.
a man, I can't remember his name, but he only attended via Zoom, and he was ending his thing within like a couple weeks.
Wow, really?
So yeah, she was the only one who voted for us.
That might have been Quinn as he was going out.
It might have, yeah, he was outgoing.
Yep.
So
and Jane Rebelowski is now taking his space. So be interesting to pose these questions to Jane as well, and to see if she shares that same idea as Quinn, to be the only other one to at least acknowledge it, even though it sounded like he didn't vote along with her. But this is critical, man. I mean, we don't have a lot of time, and some things we can't outdo.
No, it's once you clear cut a forest, that's it. Once you destroy a stream, I mean, our streams are really in trouble. I don't think people really grasp how in trouble we are.
Well, and we can make a lot of things, and we're pretty remarkable as humans, but we can't make any more Earth. We only got one, and we got to take care of it. So.
Right, and I think this friend of mine, she's been around for many years. She's really a senior, and she makes these comments. She goes, "Are our grandchildren or great grandchildren even going to know what a fish is?"
Wow.
I mean, it's kind of scary to think of, but it's getting worse,
Well,
and that's the thing is our environment isn't getting better, it's getting worse. So our waters, you always are hearing about, not enough fish here, something dies off here, some spill there. I hate to, it sounds like such doom and gloom, but.
Well, let me tell you how cool our viewers are. Patrick just spoke to Jim Aho. He will schedule a tour. I want to gather a few friends to go with me. He does it 6:30 at night because that's when the beavers come out. He said something about also they're trying to get someone to buy the property. I'm guessing that means someone who will. So, man, shout out to Patrick. I mean, you talk about on the spot, right?
I know.
It's like we're in the middle of the live. I'm gonna call Jim right now. So tours are at 6:30.
So he changed it.
Patrick, do you have a safe way for folks to contact you that might want to go with you on that tour? We definitely would be interested in bringing our cameras down and maybe taking that tour with you. It's always good to kind of meet the folks that are watching along with the conduit. That sounds like a lot of fun. You can message me offline if there's we can try to figure it out, or they can always contact you through the conduit to keep your personal information personal, and then we can help coordinate that. So again, Patrick just spoke to Jim. He will schedule tours at 6:30. That's when the beavers come out, and Patrick would like to have a few friends to go along with, which that would definitely be fun. All right, so Patrick has put his email out there for everyone. That is PATHORNUNGGOE@gmail. So I'll leave that up on the screen for a little bit. And then we'll go from there. Oh, let me see. Okay, I got texts coming in. Well, I got like 1,000 things going on at one time.
Too many things, huh? Well, so let's see. Do we have... how much time do we have?
We got some time. So
I found out something new this week.
There we go.
It really, and we have kind of touched on this overall through all of our meetings about, how our lack of infrastructure to be able to meet this growth. And and you know, we have water, we have our highways, you know, that they're doing all this growth along the Wheaton Way corridor. They want to put in a bunch of circles all the way up to Central Valley. They want to put like if anybody's been to Costco down in Gig Harbor, have you ever gone through those circles down there that are like 3 lanes wide? And everybody, I'm surprised nobody's gotten killed in there, but it's like a nightmare. And that's what they want to put in at Central Valley on the highway.
Whoa, 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 whoa. They want to put a Costco in?
No. But there's some circles down in Gig Harbor when you get off the highway.
Oh, the roundabouts.
Yes,
oh,
the
boy.
Roundabouts.
Man, raise your hand if you don't like the roundabouts.
Well, that's what they're doing all the way up Wheaton Way. That's the plan.
Oh, boy.
At Lowe's and at Fairgrounds, and there probably is another one in there too, but they're going to take down that overpass at Central Valley. I don't know how the traffic is going to be able to go through there when they do all that work and put in all these new fish passage culverts and stuff, and then put in the circle. So I just, if you drive that road, I do all the time, the traffic is unreal through there. And so there's all kinds of accidents that are happening there at Military Road.
That doesn't surprise me.
And they're going to allow left-hand turn lanes when there was supposed to be a barrier from Royal Valley, but WashDOT is like backed down and changed what they're going to do. All the safety is just because of the cost. I think it's all about money. There's just, they don't have enough money to do what they need to really to make our community safe. And so this is a new thing that I just found out is about safety.
Okay.
Is the law enforcement in our state is the last in the whole country. The last. They're rock bottom.
For safety?
Yes. And that the national average is 2.5 officers per 1,000 people to cover 24 hours. That's the national average.
Okay.
And Washington is at 1.5. And Kitsap is at 0.68. And so the funding for law enforcement is, I heard like sometime about a week or so ago that there was one Washington State Patrol from like Port Orchard all the way up to Hansville. One. So, and from what I understand, it is so bad that they're losing officers because of the situation is just so bad that they have to do all this overtime because they don't have enough officers. There's not enough funding. People are leaving. So if you need police, there's not going to be any because at 0.68 per 1,000 people, this is just an infrastructure issue as far as law enforcement goes.
You know, and I'm shaking my head because there's a couple things that I want people to consider. If you have anyone who's working overtime, a bunch of hours, not so much because they want it, but because there's no one else to cover, those folks are going to be fatigued. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to be more irritable, right? So, you know, we count on our police to protect and serve, and they are in these high stakes situations. And if they're there and they're working all this overtime, I don't think that's conducive to, you know, having the best potential protecting service that we can have without things going awry. At some point, something is going to pop off.
And that is what's happening. Mm-hmm. And so in the county is responsible to fund the law enforcement. And what they're doing, they're cutting back all the budgets of all these, like the police and the fire, and what they're doing now is they're hiring people to Department of Community Development because there's a law that went in that said they had to expedite permits. So this is crazy. You're going to expedite permitting to put in developments that nobody wants and we don't have the infrastructure for and we can't handle it yet versus the safety of the people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's safe. There's a push to safety first before development. The hospital can't handle this. They can hardly handle what they got. I don't know if anybody's been in the ER there recently. Unless you're like bleeding on the floor, you're sitting out in the waiting room and you're being treated out in the waiting room at the ER.
And this comes from someone who was in the ER last night, right?
Well, no, that was a whole nother one. That was that was my experience a week and a half ago.
Wow.
And my friend who called me yesterday, she was at the new urgent care. I won't say which one.
Okay.
But
don't want to put them on blast.
Yeah, and this is a senior, and she was having some issues, and that they didn't want her to leave. And she said they wanted to transport her by ambulance down to Tacoma.
Oof.
And I don't know this. Yeah, I'll go ahead and say this. So, and I learned this myself when I was sent to the ER to get like an urgent CAT scan. That's the only way you can get that kind of imaging is through an ER. And I used to run a nonprofit. I was a patient advocate, so I've worked in the medical system. I know how it functions and how it's not functioning right now. And they wanted to transport her by ambulance down there, but she wanted to go home to meet me and give me keys and to tell me how to feed her dog. It's like her dog is like her baby. And the doctor tried to get me on the phone to make her not do that. And it's like, hey, she's pretty feisty old lady. You can't argue with her. She cares about her dog. So I agreed, okay, I'll meet you there. I'll take the dog and then I'll drive you back. And I will make sure that you're okay. So they agreed to that. And he made it sound so like imminent that they were going to take her right away to Tacoma. Well, I dropped her off. And I find out a couple hours later that she's still there. And it's like, well, why did we go through all this when you were going to transport her? And then, so I went back over there. Every hour I got a different story about what was going on. And then she was in pain too. I said, well, I asked the nurse, did you give her anything for pain? Oh, yeah, I gave her some. And then she pipes up and she says, oh, well, no, I haven't gotten anything. And then the nurse checks the chart and says, oh, yeah, you're right. She hasn't gotten anything for pain. And so she does get something for pain. If I wasn't there, I don't know what would have happened. But the bottom line is I finally left around 9 o'clock. And the new nurse came on. She didn't like me too much because I was asking too many questions. I said, when are you going to transport her? Oh, well, she's on the wait list to go into the hospital. I go, well, that's not what you told me 2 hours ago. And I find out she did not get transported until 3 o'clock this morning. So, and they said, and then we asked, can we go to another hospital? No, you can't. We can't transport you unless you want to be discharged and you go drive her. And then they said, even if you drove to Tacoma and you would just sit in the emergency room anyways, they wouldn't have a bed for you. And, what we have here is we have CHI Franciscan who runs St. Michael's. And then we have St. Joseph's down in Gig Harbor. And then you have multi-care that's come in. And when they wanted me to have a CT scan, the doctor's office said, you have to go to St. Michael's. That's the only way you can go. And I said, well, what about the urgent care? Oh, they don't have a CT scan. Well, yeah, multi-care does though.
Wow.
But they weren't going to tell me that multi-care had one because they're not going to refer their patients. They want you in their system. So
Just playing games with people's health for money.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I've seen a lot in the medical profession doing a lot of my educational work and as a patient advocate. I have a daughter who has a disabling medical condition, so I know how these systems work. And this is just another system. I think COVID kind of broke at the medical system. But that just seems to be the natural thing is that when you go to an ER, you got to sit in the waiting room for 10 hours. And then even then, unless you're bleeding on the floor, you might get yourself a gurney out in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, that's my spiel on I'm just you know, I don't just do like environmental type work and trying to protect my little neighborhood. I care about like patients. I help people who are having medical issues, and you know, I was at the pancake house the other day having breakfast, and this lady was getting up and leaving, and she started to cry, and her husband had died,
Oh man.
and she was sad, and it was like, well, you know, sit down with me, you know, and we'll. I don't know. I guess that's back when I ran a nonprofit, I started it off as a patient support group,
Mm-hmm.
and we all just supported each other.
Yeah.
It's so I'm concerned about the state of our health services in this county.
Mm-hmm.
I personally will not go to St. Michael's. I would unless I had to, and they forced me to. When they tried to take my daughter there by ambulance, I asked, "Can we go somewhere else?" And they would not let me because
Wow.
those ambulances only serve that hospital. So it's I don't like the systems that I'm seeing. And then we see the police too, the law enforcement. What if there's no state police out on the highway? What's going to happen when we have accidents?
Yeah, while you were you know, talking about the healthcare, I pulled this up on chat again. You know, is it true that Washington and Kitsap are the lowest police staff? Yes, Washington State consistently ranks last, 50 or 51st, depending on the inclusion of DC. Wow. And here are the links. If you want to back that up, Kitsap Daily News, the Washington State Standard, of course, Facebook. Oh, I mean, I did not know that.
I didn't either. I just learned that. That's why I wrote it down, because I thought this is a topic of the week. We could talk about this one.
Yeah. And so that's a new thing we're going to add. It's going to be a topic of the week, something, you know, we've got our agenda and the things that we're going to talk about week by week. But, you know, there's some things that folks need to be aware of. And so if we don't have this, one, I mean, we're thinking about, again, protecting and serving and safety. There's, you know, our system is broken all the way around, from environmental to education to law enforcement, how we treat our homeless, affordable housing, livable wages. All these things are broken and need to be fixed. We can't just operate and focus on one. We have to tackle them all at the same time. Look at where there's some synergy, where we can, did we come up with something more positive instead of killing two birds with one stone from last
No,
week? So I'm still working on that. Type in the chat if you can think of one that's more positive.
I told you my brains have gone today.
But we have to, and this is urgent. You know, I'm getting old, right? You don't think about it when you're in your 20s, you're invincible, but as you are, you know, moving towards your senior times, or if you have multiple disabilities as I do, then these things become important, right? And it's like, hey, if I need to go to the emergency room, am I going to get urgent care, right? I mean, that's what they call it. It's oxymoron, right? Am I going to get urgent care? Or am I going to get some care at some point in time? I used to suffer from migraines, and I would go to the Old Harrison Hospital, and I hated it because the lights are bright, it's super loud, and I know what I need. I just need that shot, and they make you sit. It's almost like, can you survive? How bad do you really want this shot to break this migraine? It's like, I would not be here if I didn't need this shot. It's like, you can get me in and get me out, and you know, it's 5 or 6 hours, and it's just terrible. So, and then because we don't have health care for everyone in the country. Then those that are uninsured are immigrants that come over here looking for a better life. Low income folks that don't have insurance or adequate insurance are all descending upon the doctors and the hospitals all at the same time, and it's not sustainable. My oldest friend, my best friend, works at a hospital in Kent, and he talks about police dropping folks off all the time at the hospital because they don't want to take them to jail. But the hospital's not equipped to take care of those folks either. So, many of them need mental health help, right? Hospitals for physical help. So, I mean, there's just the whole system is broken. And so we have to, bring and shed light to it, gather other folks around us that can advocate and speak out, come up with solutions and push forward for those solutions. So, man, thank you for bringing this one to us.
Yeah.
This is a hot one here.
It is. I mean, I was just burning to talk about it, especially after, spending 10 hours in urgent care or working on that issue for somebody and trying to help them and becoming totally frustrated.
Yeah.
And here she's sitting there in pain.
Yeah, you're watching a friend in pain and there's nothing you can do.
Well, I did. I brought it up and I started asking questions. They weren't too happy with me because I'm like saying, all right, what's going on? Why isn't she getting any pain meds? And then they think that because they have so many patients, they don't even remember if they gave her pain meds.
Wow. And see, everyone doesn't have a Kathie that has the level of experience that you do, that has a voice and can advocate and understand how things should go and say, hey, this isn't right, right? Many folks go to get care and it's like, oh, you're pill seeking.
Right.
Like, I'm not here pill seeking. I'm hurt. I'm really in bad shape here.
Well, and people this is my only recommendation is never let somebody go alone. Never. Because they're not in any shape to advocate for themselves.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you have to help them do it.
So good advice, right? Yeah, because they're not in their strongest self, right? And they're just, I'm hurting. I know I'll go to the doctor and I won't share with them how bad it really is. I always downplay it, right?
Well, yeah. This nurse wanted to argue with me. I said, I know she's in pain. Oh, well, she said she was only at a 5.
Yeah.
And I go, well, her 5 is an 8. and she tried to say, oh, well, I can tell by her facial expressions how much pain she's in. Well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'm like, well, I can go in and I can have a conversation with the doctor and I can smile and I can even like joke and I'm at an 8 or a 9 because I live in chronic pain.
Right.
And I even got on a couple doctors for minimizing my pain. And that's what they like to do is minimize your pain, or like you said, you're just drug seeking.
And do we do it as patients to try to facilitate the experience a little bit faster? We're trying to be friendly and ingratiating as much as we're in pain. Hey, look, here's what's going on, doc. I just need this, or please try to figure this out. And we're just trying to get through the process as quickly as possible. So we're not trying to oversell it and we end up underselling it because we're not even stating where we're actually at.
Well, yeah, and I think some people who live in a chronic pain state, they tend to be able to have a higher tolerance for pain, and they learn to function that way.
So say we all.
Yes.
All right. Well, hey, I really appreciate you bringing that one. That was a big one. I don't know if we have a plan for next week. Oh, we do actually have a plan for next week because it's health. I'm actually having back surgery next Friday.
Oh.
So if we have a show, it will be pre-recorded. And so I needed to tell you that, Kathie, that I won't be physically here tomorrow, next Friday, because I'll be on the table.
Okay.
But so
speaking of medical, huh?
So either we will record or pre-record, or we'll push it to another day. Sometimes we miss. But that's what's going on. If you don't see us Friday, but if you do and you're talking to us, it's probably a pre-recording. So, or we'll try to do it live after I come down off of my meds. So I'm at least making some sense. But all right, well, that was a great hour. Again, I'm going to end it here this Sunday at Evergreen Park, the Paella feed. And that's from 1 to 4 p.m. All are welcome. Going to have a really good time. Going to be a lot of fun. Again, there is a heat advisory for the next 3 days. So please stay cool, everyone. Empower yourselves in every way that you can. For Kathie, I'm Marwan. This is The Conduit. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other.